guys, it's Cermaic here, and today I will be doing a video on comparing the different heating elements for snakes. In front of me here, you can see I have a heat pad, a normal basking spot bulb, that one is an infrared, and a ceramic heater. We will be discussing the pros and cons to each of these, and basically when's the best time to use one, when's the best time to use the other, and just comparing them. So if I actually take these out of their boxes, so you can see what the actual bulb itself looks like. That is the infrared bulb, and in this one you have a ceramic heater which looks like this. So basically, like I said, we'll just be talking about each of them and just discussing which one's best for what. So we'll start off with the ceramic heater. Okay, so like I said, we're starting off with the ceramic heater. I think it's pretty easy to say that out of those three options, it's the most expensive. However, I'd say it's probably the best quality of heat source there. Whereas the heat pad and the bulb only really heat like an area or like a surface, the ceramic heater will heat the ambient temperature. It will heat up the air rather than just heating up a surface, which is definitely better for some type of reptiles. Along with the heat mat, the ceramic heater also has a much longer lifespan than a normal bulb. The mechanics of this I don't really know, however I just know that it lasts a lot longer. I suppose it's got to do with the fact that it doesn't emit light, and so it doesn't have a lot of features like that. It also doesn't emit light as well as the heat pad, which can be good as it means you can use it 24/7, and it's not going to disrupt your animals. The only problem with the ceramic heater, in my opinion, is that you need pretty expensive thermostats. What I mean by this is if you use an on-off or a dimming stat, they will severely lower the life of your ceramic, and that's why it's highly recommended that you use a pulse proportional thermostat, which are about £50. So whereas the heat pad, you can just use an on-off, and a bulb you can just use a dimming. With ceramics you can't really use these as they significantly lower the life of your bulb. However, overall I'd say it's the best form of heating. If I just spin this around a bit, it's just obviously it gets its name by what it's made out of. It's a ceramic and it just screws in like you would a bulb, and it gets quite hot, to be honest. When started they can easily reach 60 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Celsius. So I would definitely recommend those. I will soon be switching all my animals to ceramics. However, like I said at the start, they are very expensive, so it'll take a bit of time. Now we'll move on to heat bulbs. Okay, so next up we are moving on to bulbs. You can get these heat bulbs in lots of different colours. This is an infrared one and it emits a red light. However, you can also get daylight bulbs which will emit like a white light that the animal can see. You can also get blue bulbs and black lights. The red, the blue and the black I do believe can be used 24/7 as the animals, I think the bulbs are designed so the animals can't see the light. However, it is good for nighttime viewing. And basically these bulbs are very common in the reptile trade. That's mainly because they are cheap. Compared to ceramics and some heat pads, they are very cheap. Now, these bulbs the animals can see. However, they are not going to disrupt sleep patterns. There's a difference between a bulb that disrupts sleep patterns and a bulb that the animal can see. So snakes and some reptiles can see the red light, however it will not disrupt them sleeping, so it's still okay. Also with the bulb, they tend to not last very long. I think on some of the manufacturers' websites they say it should last between 6 to 12 months, whereas the ceramic should last 12 to 36 months, 24 to 36 months. So on average the ceramics are a lot better, they will last a lot longer. Also with the bulbs, bulbs are better for like basking species. So species like carpet pythons and stuff like that, they will actively go out and sit in front of a light to bask. These do a lot of a better job, especially as many basking animals associate a light with basking. So not many snakes will associate darkness with basking, which is sometimes where ceramics aren't as good. a lot of people partnership ceramics with LEDs to try and get over this. However, bulbs definitely have their pros, they definitely have their cons. I currently use these bulbs in all of my vivariums. Like I said, just because they're cheap, they're easy to use, and that they can all be controlled through a dimming stat, which I have one. So last but not least, we will move on to heat pads. Okay, so last up we are moving on to heat pads. Now heat pads come in all different shapes and sizes, and they are made by a lot of different people. Personally, I've only ever bought the microclimate ones. They've worked great for me, they've never failed or anything, and to be honest, they are one of the cheapest out there. You've got your Komodo heat pads and stuff, and your other big name brands, which are like, for a one this big would be like £20. However, this one was £8, and you can see my hand, it's pretty big. I use this on my 24.5 and my 33 litre rubs, and I can't fault these heat mats. And basically what heat mats are good for, they are great for reptiles or snakes that need good belly heat, and that's obviously because you put this underneath the enclosure and it rises up. You can't use heat pads on like vivariums unless you're putting the heat pad actually inside the vivarium, which I don't think there's anything wrong with doing. However, a few people think it's a bit dangerous. But basically heat pads, they're probably the most popular way of heating your reptiles, and definitely one of the most popular things in the reptile trade. They can use on all different types of thermostats. You can use it with an on-off, a dimming, a pulse proportional. They will all work fine. Obviously your dimming stat's going to be your most accurate with these, however an on-off is perfectly fine, so is a pulse proportional. I use on-offs with all my heat pads, just because I'm not going to spend £50 for a thermostat for one heat pad. But they're perfectly fine. They are, like I said, they're easy to control, easy to use. They're cheaper than your ceramics. Probably, depending on what size you get in, they're about the same price as a ball. The only problem, once again, with this is if you're trying to do a nice vivarium and you've got one of these on the floor, it's not going to look too nice, it's not going to look naturalistic, as well as a rub. But basically now I will show you a heat pad and a bulb in action. I don't have a vivarium with a ceramic set up in it, however I will show you a bulb and a heat pad in action right now. Okay, so in this enclosure you can see I have a 100 watt red bulb up here, and it is just pointed down towards his hide. As you can see, we've got Rug over here who was just sleeping, however I'm now recording him so he's woken up. And basically I use a bulb in all my vivariums because it doesn't disrupt them sleeping and it's a good form of heat. I will always advise to use a heat bulb in a vivarium. There is absolutely nothing wrong with them. However, you know, just thought I'd show you one and how they look. Different brands emit a different colour, so another Komodo ones are different to this one, as well as Swell Zone. They all emit a slightly different colour, however they're all perfectly fine, and now we'll move on to a heat pad. Okay, so right here I do have a rub setup that I have the Lantos in. For anyone that's wondering why I have Lee in a rub and not in his Viv, it's because he hasn't eaten in almost 14 months. And I'm just trying to put him back in the last enclosure he ate in. I have done this before and it didn't work out. I thought I'd give it another try. But basically now that's gone. Here you can see I have the heat pad underneath, and it is connected to Swell's own on-off brand of stat. There is the probe, and Royal Pythons, they don't necessarily need belly heat, however it does work well for them, so that's why I'm using it. And most people do use heat pads with rubs, so that is one in action. Now that does conclude this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and leave a like if you did. And I know a lot of people think that there are a lot of different other ways to heat your reptiles, such as AHS heaters, heat cables, heat panels. I own absolutely zero of those, but I could probably still make a videos because I still know how they work. So if you do want to see that, leave a comment down below, and I will be sure to make one of those. So like I said, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and yeah, it's been Jason. Thanks. If you're in the UK and looking for some great reptile equipment at some great prices, please check out Swell Reptiles in the description down below.